G'day folks, welcome to the Snowies Camping Show. Joined by me, but you will notice something a little bit different. For the first time in about 170 episodes, I'm not joined by Lauren. I've got a different guest with me today who we're going to introduce shortly. Before we do that, you can subscribe to our podcast via YouTube, your favourite podcast app. Join in on the conversation at the Snowies Camping Banter Facebook group, where we've got all of our community chatting in there. Now, today I'm joined by, excuse me, we call it Snowies royalty. It's Richard Wescombe, who is Snowies Outdoors founder and up until recently our big kahuna, as your son used to label you.
Yeah.
How you going, Richard? Thanks for joining us.
Good, Ben. I'm not saying it's nice to be here. It's taken you 170 episodes to get me on. I don't normally like to be the front man, but you had nobody else to come on today, so you've asked me to come on.
Yeah, we scraped the bottom of the barrel. No, I was thinking on the way in my drive in this morning that this podcast, so I believe this is going to be episode 170. When you talked about the podcast long before we started it, it was kind of your idea and you wanted to do it. And for many years you talked about wanting to do this podcast, and we finally launched this podcast. I think we did a test episode to start with. I don't remember it, but our videographer Larry says we did the first one with Richard and we can't remember doing it, so it can't have been that exciting.
I can't remember it either. Must have been a long time ago, Ben.
But you've been sitting in the office right next to us this whole time. It's taken us 170 episodes to say, why don't we interview,
Well, look, I just warn the viewers, I hope it's interesting.
It is.
It's not very interesting for me, but because I've heard it all before.
Well, I find I know bits of it. I think this is going to fill some gaps for me.
Okay.
I mean, there's some connections that your family and my family got going back that we'll get into. But let's start, before we start with Snowies, let's go back to the Richard before Snowies, because you've had businesses. But before that, you had some really interesting roles or jobs that kind of fed into the Snowies as we know it today in some way. So can you talk to us about
in a
those
roundabout
ones?
way it has.
Yeah.
I grew up in Ring-A-Ling, which is a little hamlet, or a little town on the shores of Lake Alexandrina, which is where the Murray comes out before it goes into the sea. I grew up on a farm there, and my dad was a dairy farmer, and I did most things that farmers' sons do, and that is do farm jobs. I was a jackaroo. I worked down at Keith for a while. Then I drove a milk tanker based in Malang. But my claim to fame is a shearer. And I was quite young, but I did a few years of shearing. And I've got some great stories about shearing. Again, it's a typical role for a lot of farmers' sons, and I started around our local area as a rouseabout. But then a mate of mine and I went to Perth and WA and worked there for a while. And to get a job as a shearer, it was quite difficult in those days. So I applied for a shearer's job with a contractor, and he said, well, how many can you do a day? And I said, over 100. And I've never done a full day's, but it was the only way to get a job. And I'm not proud of having to tell a fib about it, but it worked out all right in the end. Anyway, we're in a car all day out of Perth to a place called Broken Arrow, which is north of Kalgoorlie. And I got there, and the first day on my stand, I did 43, I think.
All right.
And a lot of the other rouseabouts who wanted that job were really peed off with me. But it got me a good start.
Yep.
And after that, I've shorn in big sheds of 16 shearers at a time up in northwest Western Australia, and travelled all the way south to southern WA. And then I came back home and got married and started to have kids.
Okay. Wow. So that when you the shearing, there's someone that was part of that.
The contractor's the main person.
Yep.
He's also called the expert in shearing parlance. The expert does all the things that that no one else gets time to do. He starts the engine up at the beginning of the day, rings the bell at the start and the end of the shift.
Yep.
He sharpens our combs and cutters, counts the sheep at the end of the run, and he's usually the contractor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get on to it later on the origins of the name. the contractor I worked with a lot was a great guy, and his nickname was what I adopted for Snowies.
Okay, we'll get into that a little bit later. So moving on after that, you're known, I think, in Adelaide as an Adelaide entrepreneur. You've had lots of businesses in the past. So was that your next progression from shearing into sort of owning some of your own businesses or starting your own businesses? Because there's a lot of business names in your history, isn't there?
My portfolio.
Yeah.
Probably one of my most favourite businesses was a little one called Adelaide Bin and Pallet, which was in the western suburbs here of Adelaide in the industrial area. And we used to get logs in from one of the forests and convert them into boards and planks and make export pallets and bins out of them. That was a great business.
Yeah.
But then I went into a food business called Bertie's, which was a pancake restaurant in the city. I was involved in that for a few years. And then I saw something that really interested me, and that was home-delivered pizza. So I started a business up called Dino's. It was originally known as Dino's Dial Pizza, but a little business in Warrnambool in Victoria was preventing us going into Victoria because of the name.
Right.
He was also called Dino's Pizza, and we were called Dino's Dial Pizza. So we went over to talk to him, and I said to him, look, I'll give you some money if we can come in, if you give us the okay to register our name. And he said, no, I want a lot more than what I was prepared to give him.
Okay.
So all the way home, I was talking to the guy I went with, and we decided to come up with the name Dino's, which got around it completely. And people used to say, oh, what do you want for tea tonight? And people would say, oh, I think I'll Dino's. Okay. So it was already being used, but we called our business that name. So we expanded around Australia, and in the end we had 120 stores Australia-wide. And we also were in New Zealand, Japan and the UK. And then Pizza Hut approached us. They wanted to get into pizza delivery and they wanted a quick way of doing it. So they approached me, and 12 months later they had bought the business.
Right. So Pizza Hut weren't doing delivery?
Not at that time. Oh, well, they just played around with it a bit. But we were in their way of making a real big splash.
Okay.
So, and they're not averse to buying businesses to increase their market share, and we were the lucky beneficiaries of that.
So is it safe to say you pioneered pizza delivery?
No, there were a few smarter people than me out there. There was a little business in Brisbane called Silvio's. They were really good at it.
Yep.
But we were bigger. We were more national and international. So we had a pretty good brand. One of the biggest things that worked in our favour was that we protested against. We had little phones on our roof, and they were internally lit. And someone thought they looked like emergency vehicles, and we were told to turn the lights off.
Okay.
So we protested on the steps of Parliament House one cold winter's morning, and we were on every TV station 2 or 3 times for a week. And eventually the government said, look, yeah, you can turn the lights on. Because we kicked up a fuss that they were trying to turn the lights out on small business in South Australia. So we had a really clever PR guy who milked it for all it was worth, and we came out of it, smelling like roses, and everyone loved us.
Wow. And there were some people, one person who recently passed away, but he worked with you at Dino's, I think, and worked with you right up until recently, I believe. So, well,
Greg Verrill, who viewers will know if they've been into the Keswick store.
You know Greg. Yeah.
Greg was, I loved Greg. We worked together for 25 years through various businesses, and he was such a funny guy. And he got motor neurone disease, which is quite topical at the moment. But Greg didn't last very long with it. He died about 2 months ago. But he'd been with me through a lot of businesses, and he was the funny part of life.
Okay. I think that ties into the story of today with the and we'll get onto it later, with the type of people you have at Snowies that they want to stay. And obviously you've run your businesses the same back in the past as well, that people enjoy working with you and the ethos around your business. There's other small businesses you've had as well. I know you had a mowers business, and I know that because my dad used to work for Steel Chainsaws, and
That's right.
And he used to go to the stores that you owned.
Well, he was a very difficult guy, your dad.
Was he?
Because he wouldn't give us steel. I owned a business called Stanford Mowers.
Okay.
And he would not give us steel, but steel was a premium brand, and I think we were known as a bit of a discounter.
Okay.
Which didn't work in our favour with brands like Steels.
All right.
Yeah, so I was involved in. They called it outdoor power equipment industry then. That sort of sexied it up a bit, but it was really about selling mowers.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know that about my dad being difficult. I don't know if he watches this episode, but I'll bring it up with him next time I see him. Apparently you're a bit tough. Was there any other interesting businesses you had, or what stage did it lead to Snowy's?
Well, I had another business in just after Dino's. A mate of mine, my Melbourne sub-franchisor, he was responsible for Victoria. He and I started a business called Ring-A-Ling Brothers, which was a Chinese food delivery.
Oh, right.
And it was you wouldn't be able to do it today. It's too people would see it as racist.
Yeah.
But we had about 8 stores, and it was okay. It was never going to work. And when I realised it wasn't going to work was one day I rang one of the stores at closing time to see how much they'd done for the day, and the bloke answered the call, and he said, "Hello, Ring-A-Ling Brothers, Luigi speaking." So I think Chinese has got to be about Chinese people, not about Australians or anybody else.
We've always been one to try new things, and I can see that in my time at Snowy's that you never want to sit there and just sort of think about something. If it sounds like an idea, we'll give it a go. If it doesn't work, we'll pull the pin and try something different. Yeah. So the move to Snowy's then, like, was that the next evolution after these businesses? And Snowy's has been your biggest or most successful business?
Well, Dino's was pretty big. Yeah. But Snowy's has given me much more satisfaction.
Okay.
Because because of the industry it's in, and certainly because of the people who work in it. Mm-hmm. It's given me a lot of grief, but mainly a lot of good feelings about business and people.
Yep.
So back in the late 90s, I was looking for something to do, and it sort of struck me that the western suburbs of Adelaide was short of a camping store. So we opened Snowy's, originally known as Aussie Outdoors and Camping, at a place on not where we are today, but not far away. And we operated that for a couple of years, and we were running out of space. So we found where we are today and changed the name to Snowy's, based on my relationship with a shearing contractor I knew.
Yeah.
His name was Snow Mybus. He was a lovely guy. He was full of fun. But my time that I spent with him was usually halfway between the quarter where we had food at a station where we were shearing, where our area where we had breakfast, lunch and tea. Snow had a problem that he used to have to make it to the toilet very quickly when he was due to go. And the toilets were halfway between the kitchen area and the shearing shed. Right. And they weren't segmented. They weren't. They were all open, so you sat there together and you could have a chat. So that's how I got to know
on
Snow.
The toilet.
Yeah, but Snow was he was a very creative guy. He had all sorts of camping gear that he'd made up. He had plenty of time during the day to make it up. So he used to camp on the way between various sheds that we were shearing at.
Okay, all right. So that's the basis of the Snowy's name.
Yeah, and there's a bit of Aussie feel about it too, isn't there?
And the logo is that based around his image as well, or is that just
it was what I asked the guys at our graphic design mob that were working with us. I said, I want somebody who looks a bit like the King G man or the Bonds man with a square jaw. He looks pretty strong and self-sufficient. But Snow Mybus was blonde.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's the only likeness. Similar.
All right. Okay. I knew a little bit about that story? I always thought it was Snowmebus, but it's Snowmibus.
Mibus, yeah.
Okay, interesting story.
Yeah.
So the locations, it was west of Adelaide initially, and then you moved to this location. So this is the same location, which is Keswick in Adelaide, which is our flagship store.
Yep.
So that was, what year was that?
That was in 97.
97.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're nearly 30 years old, Ben.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been here for 12 years of that.
Yeah. I was going to get onto that about how long you've been here, and a lot of other people have been here similar periods as well.
There's a lot of people, and I'll probably mention it a few times through the episode, that's I think staff retention is a big thing here, and I'm not just blowing the trumpet because I'm talking to the Snowy's founder, but there is a good place to work, and I've always thought of it as a place of opportunity. But that's testament to the likes of Greg, who worked with you for 25 years, and I've been here for 12, and you could walk out of the door from the studio here and see plenty of people who've been here for a long time. Yeah. It's because it's a good place to work, but that ethos also flows through to customers, which we'll get to shortly. Yep. But in terms of when you identified, what did the Adelaide market look like with needing to open a camping store? Like, what else was here at that point in time? Because nowadays you got clothing stores and technical outdoor hiking stores, and then you got big box retailers and stuff, which is general camping. So how did you kind of work out your range, or what was missing in the range?
The big retailer at that time was Harris Scarfs, which is a sort of a medium-sized department store in the city, and they sold a lot of camping gear. But the rest of the businesses that were in camping were, and I don't mean to speak badly, but they were mum and dad stores owned by and run by the operator. There were a spreading of those around the city and suburban areas. And we were just another one of those. Yep. But as time went by, they dropped out because they weren't able to buy as well as what we could. And then, of course, the big guys, Ray's Outdoors, came to Adelaide, and then BCF shortly afterwards, and then Anaconda. And, testament to the people who worked at Snowy's, we were able to compete, and we are competing very successfully with those big companies, despite them being a lot bigger and having access to a lot different products than us. I think we do very well there.
I think that feeds into talking about the team members, because it is a family operated business, because within the team, and I'll touch on my some other unique connections I've got to you and your family too. But your son and your daughters, some of them work within the business still. Which I'll talk to my connection there. Funnily enough, your sister was my neighbour when I was a kid.
That's right, yeah.
And they had a pool, and I jumped the fence to swim in the pool, and it turns out I would be swimming.
You're that kid that used to get into the pool when no one was around.
Probably. I was very innocent when I was young, so I like to think I still am now. But ironically, I was probably swimming in the pool, mucking around with Lane and Erin, your son and daughter. Unbeknownst to me that later in life I'd end up back in at Snowy's. But the team that you've built here, obviously you must have some ethos behind you around how you choose team members, because there's so many people who have been here for so long and enjoy being here. Yeah. How do you approach finding the right people?
I think everyone starts out meaning the best. I think here I like to treat everyone equally. The fact that my family work in the business I don't want other people to think they get any special rights. We're all in here together. There's nothing I will ask anyone to do that I wouldn't do myself. But I think it's the values. I think most people who work here long term, I think the values align pretty much with Snowy's. We're a family camping business. We focus on customer experience. We want to be really sharp with our pricing. All sorts of things that marketing people tell you, but we've done that from day one. Yep. We've wanted to be really a good place to work. Yep. Because people say customers come first, but really staff come first. Because if staff are happy and content, customers will get the same treatment. Yeah. Yeah. So I've always wanted staff here. Those who haven't lasted long are usually those that don't fit with our values. Okay. Yeah, that paints a picture of exactly how I've seen it in the time I've been here. Yep. In the early days, because it was when I started
I was just casual shop floor sort of staff member, and as I mentioned before, it's always been a place of opportunity, and you present a lot of opportunities. I do remember one thing that sticks with me, with you saying to everyone in the business that you are your own brand, and you've got to do what you can to keep those good
Growing
brands
your
within
brand.
the business.
Yep.
And you took it as a compliment if they then took their brand and flourished elsewhere,
Yep.
but you would do what you can to keep them here. So I've gone from basic shop floor, shop staff, customer service, and now I'm in the marketing team and doing things like this. So I'm quite interested to know, because I'm deeply involved in all the advertising now and how we look on all our channels and how we're seen in the public. How did that look initially, the advertising for Snowy's? Like there is, I know there's an ad. If you look at our website, you can see the original ad, which has got faces in there of Greg, who we spoke about before, and your family,
Lane,
and people who are still here nowadays from back in, was it
late 90s,
97 or something? Yeah. Was that your first foray into advertising?
Yes,
and
it
getting
was.
the name further than just Adelaide?
I think it's the only. I might be making a bit of noise here.
That's right. We've got creaky chairs. Yeah.
TV was something we played around with, and I mean, people these days, unless you've got really deep pockets, you don't advertise on TV.
Yep.
Nor in press. We were advertising in the local daily press here, but no, it was all down to word of mouth for us in the early days. And we had people coming in here many years afterwards saying, "I never knew you were here. I didn't know you were here."
Okay.
So these days, it's much easier to get our name out with social media, and people are looking for product on the internet, and we come up fairly much thanks to people like you. We come up pretty high on the list, which is really fortunate. So, but just coming back, Ben, to the numbers of the people, I mean, you're a typical example of what I love about Snowy's. You started here, and I think you were at a bit of a crossroads in life. You were unsure of what you wanted to do, but then you saw an opportunity to learn about marketing online. What do you call it? SEO and SER,
which
SEM.
Which is evolving a lot. Search engine marketing.
So you made yourself an expert in that field. And then later you became our podcast host, which is, fantastic. People around the country know you, and I'm sure they would, if you travelled around, you'd be asked for autographs, I'm sure. And we've got a lot of other people that have made a name for themselves while they've been working here. Some have come through on their way to somewhere else. Others have made a career like yourself. Those who have made a career, Jenny Evans, who was with us for over 20 years as our office manager, accountant, managing the money, and then others who are still here. Like Julian, our purchasing officer, has been here for it must be 12 years.
Yep.
I've got a list of them. Though it gives me a really warm, glowy feeling about that. In our Brendale store, Dave Blunt and a few of his people have been with us since we opened in 2017. But there are others that moved on who were using it as on a way to go get somewhere else. There was Michael Henningson. Michael became a doctor. He studied while he was here and is now a doctor in a hospital in Sydney. Joel Adams, who was a purchasing officer, Joel studied to become a solicitor and is now working in Brisbane. And the list goes on. A lot of people who have come through here, and mums who have gone home to be stay-at-home mums. I mean, it's not just fancy pants professionals, but everybody, outdoor educators. That's been the loveliest part about owning Snowy's is seeing people come through, love working here, and then go on to bigger and better things. I'm sure they all have, and I do catch up with a lot of old people who were here long ago because they see their time here as good in their formative years.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, once again, it ties it into exactly how I view my time here. We've even got people who work, I know Lise lives internationally and she's people that just come and go, like they
come back again.
And do something, and they come back again. And we just recently we've had another long-term staff member who who left and then come back, and so it's doors always open.
Yeah,
it seems like
But my philosophy is that if someone leaves, I don't get annoyed about it. I think it's fantastic. If someone wants to go on to something bigger and better, they've got my full support, and they can tell me whenever they like. For example, Chris Morrison, who was our very first purchasing officer, told me from day one that he wanted to be a fisheries guy, work in the fisheries department. Well, 3 years later, he got a job in the fisheries department, and we worked it through until we found someone else to replace him, and he got his job, his dream job.
Okay.
So that's what gives me an enormous sense of satisfaction too, that people, as long as people go on to bigger and better things, I think it's fantastic that they do go on.
Yeah, building their own brand.
Yep.
That'll always stick with me. Let's move on to back to the Snowies brand itself. The branding strategies and what Snowies stands for, I suppose. We've both put some notes here. Did you have something to talk to about the brand strategies, and were you talking about that in terms of the type of brands that you have within the business, who you on board to sell within the business?
You mean outside brands? One thing I want to say there, that we've got some fantastic brands that we work with, and the people who manage those brands that we come in contact have been equally long-term with us. Darren Robinson from Coleman. There's I've forgotten his name, Michael from Darchie. Then there's Ian from 23-0 and Justin from Austrail. They've all been around a long time, and we have really good relationships with them. Not all the time. Sometimes we fall out because they've got businesses to run, which sometimes their objectives don't align with ours, but equally they get annoyed with us too. So it's just a matter of how you manage that. And at the end of the day, it's about having a win-win relationship with suppliers. We don't see them as antagonists or people that we're working against. They're our partners, and I hope they see us as the same.
And does that form part of it for the interest of our viewers who might be watching this and understanding why we bring certain brands on? There is a strategy or a method behind that we're not just, it's not all just dollars and cents based, is that there's a meaningful reason behind bringing brands on. It's got to be viable from a financial perspective as well, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but the brands we bring on plays into that looking after our customer ethos as well within Snowies.
We try and grow our customer base with lots of alternative products. And you're right, it's not business is about dollars and cents, but it's not a big driving force for us. I have the philosophy that if you just look after the pennies, the dollars take care of themselves. Just run the business the right way, look after customers and staff, and do the right thing by everybody. Our 5 values are really say it all for me. And whilst we only articulated them a few years ago, they really have been around for a long time. It's treat every customer as though they're special. I hope I can remember all these in front of a camera.
I hoped you weren't going to put me on the spot.
No, make every customer feel special. Be a champion team. Improve every day. Do the right thing and spare no effort. So all of those are things that, and it reflects everything, the way we deal with each other, staff, how we deal with customers, how we deal with the public. All of those things really guide how we do things.
That's great. It was recently put in. We had it designed and actually put out there and presented proudly. Whereas previously
we don't talk about it enough, Ben, but
we should.
We should talk about it more. But that gives everyone a bit of an idea of the why we're in business.
Let's talk on the move to e-commerce, because we've talked about bricks and mortar stores so far. There's a few iterations of the Snowies e-commerce presence, and I came in, I think, it's a little while after your first actual e-commerce website where you were selling. But prior to that, I vaguely remember just a single page.
It was pretty much, it wasn't much of a site. I thought you came in just as we launched it. But
Well,
it must
it
have
was-
been shortly afterwards.
Yeah, I played a big part in the launch of the recent one,
Yep.
and that was part of my evolution and my learning phase. But when I first came in as just a casual on the shop floor, you had your original site with the bids for bargains,
Yes,
and
yeah.
you sold it. You had a few web orders, and it was around about that point in time that I remember you saying, I want to do something with this arm of the business.
Yeah, that was in 2008. We launched that one-page website.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it reminds me of how sometimes you think you know everything, but I forecast that web business wasn't going to grow then, so I didn't sort of pursue a e-commerce site early on. But pretty soon I realised that we needed to get on board. So in 2011, we launched our website to do business in, and shortly after you joined.
Yep.
But that was a big change in the business. And here at Keswick, we dedicated some space out the back for fulfillment. That is picking, packing, dispatching, and we were all walking on top of each other. It was so limited space.
Yep.
That eventually we had to go elsewhere and find a warehouse and do our dispatch and fulfillment.
I do remember the days when that was kind of at its peak here at Keswick, and you'd be walking around the shop and there'd be customers and there'd be staff working, and then there'd just be trolleys and people in orange vests picking web orders, and there was stuff stored for web orders in the shop wherever we could kind of stack it but make it.
It was hectic,
it was quite full, but yeah.
But like the values that I just listed down, our website has sort of really grown on the back of a couple of really key principles, and that is user experience. We want the user experience to be really smooth and easy, intuitive, and we want our content to be rich and trustworthy.
Yep.
And you've played a huge part in that, Ben, and we've got blokes and girls who work in that department who are just gold. They have stuck with that philosophy from day one, and I think that's why our website is regarded as one of the best in our industry.
Yeah,
I think it's an excellent, and I think the podcast we do, the blog, all of it adds up to one really great resource for people who like camping and getting out.
Yeah, we should mention customer service there as well, because we listen to them every day in here talking to customers, some difficult conversations, some easy, but they turn up every day, and it's a great team of people who just keep answering the call and do whatever they can.
Yeah, because very few people ring up and say, you're doing a fantastic job, don't they?
Yeah, it's usually
the other side.
They've got a problem.
And they're dealing with that all the time.
Yep.
I mean, as hard as we try, we're never going to make everything nice and smooth. We're dealing with couriers and freight people, and people out of our control.
Yeah.
So so we're certainly going to run into problems, and our customer experience team are fantastic at that.
Yeah. That when you're saying dealing with freight companies and that sort of thing, that whole fulfillment for e-commerce, I mean, that was going from a store where you just had stock come in and the customer took it out. Suddenly you've got stock coming in, but then we're sending it to a customer. So there's that whole fulfillment process.
Yeah.
That which leads into what you said before with everyone in the shop. Like, how was that? Was that a big challenge?
I think we were really running on adrenaline in the early days of the web team. We thought, hell, this is great. We're not only doing well in store, but we've got all this business coming in online.
Yeah.
So everyone was really excited about it. We're all learning, and any problem that came up, we just dealt with it and moved on. But eventually, it became more of a business, and we had to trim our costs, because costs get out of hand with it, especially around delivery and freight. It's a huge part of our what cost us, because we did from the very get-go offer free delivery. And we still do offer free delivery, but we've had to put a ceiling on it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have survived.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I can speak from every e-commerce business that the challenges never stop.
Yeah.
I don't think there's always something else that is thrown your way that changes costs and, I mean, the conversations we still have today around what we can change and ceilings that need to change, but maintaining that customer importance in customer service. On to challenges. There's been quite a few challenges over the years. Like it's in my 12, almost 13 actually years now. It's been quite a ride, and I've loved it, but it's been such an opportunity, a unique opportunity, I think, to be part of a business and work so closely with the owners of the business through these challenges, to see the ups and the downs, the wins and the times where you sort of maybe scratch your head going, how are we going to get through this? But we all have sort of bound together. But what are the primary challenges you would pull out?
When you asked me to
several
think
years?
about this, I did. And probably the first challenge that is really comes to mind was back in about 2018. We had a really, they call it weather event, a severe weather event here in Adelaide, and it was a southeasterly wind that blew in, and it was horrendous. And here at Keswick, we have an asbestos roof.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, asbestos does deteriorate a bit, and we got a lot of asbestos dust within the store. So
I remember that.
we had to close straight away and throw out all the product that we had in here. And staff were sent home. I don't know. I forget how we handled that. We found jobs for people where we could, but we couldn't trade for, I reckon it was about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Until we got rid of all the stock in here. Then we put a skin underneath the roof that protected any future asbestos dust coming into the store. And it's still there, and we get tested every 3 months for asbestos in the air, and we haven't had we've had 0 readings since then. But I remember walking through the store and watching all the stock going out to dump, and I'm thinking, is this how this all ends?
Yeah.
I felt so miserable, not just for the business, but for everybody who was involved, because no one knew when we would be back online, when we would be trading again. But like all things, you work through it and you come out the other side.
I do remember that. It was a dark sort of few days where you just scratched your head, and it was I just remember we did sell a little bit of stuff. We put a little table out the front with a computer.
Click and collect or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, and because there's some stock we could get to, but most of the store was all had all the plastic over it. And I remember being in the warehouse. I think we all had masks on at the time just in case. I think from memory it was an overreaction because you gave us all the reports all the way, and they were all very clear, but it was just. I shouldn't say overreaction. You were just being really cautious because
people wanted to know whether they'd been affected. So we had everyone go and have an asbestos test, which really was nothing because you don't know till many years later whether it's going to be affected. Yeah, you're going to be affected. But it made everyone feel a bit better doing that.
Yeah, we had to throw a heap of stuff out. What we could clean, we had contractors in to clean, and there was a headache of a time.
So another challenge. Was COVID, like it was for everyone.
That's with everyone, yeah.
Again, we didn't know how we were going to work through that, but eventually it worked out okay. And it probably, in the end, towards the middle and end part of COVID, our sales went through the roof. But the other side of that was that we couldn't get stock because the shipping companies weren't bringing product in from overseas, and truck drivers weren't delivering, and so, but eventually it got back to an even keel. Yeah, and that's where we are today.
I remember when COVID hit, we all went worked from home. We took our computer screens and our computers and went home, and we all connected online. And it did change the way we work here. I think it made us rethink how we can operate and not having to necessarily all be together all the time, and be more remote and still have meetings even if we're not in the office. We can still be in a meeting. But I do remember sitting there thinking, as everyone would have, what does this mean? Yeah. Like we can't, no one's shopping, no one can get out to buy anything.
That's right. Yeah.
What does this mean? But it was not long after that it did just go crazy, because when people did finally could get out, they couldn't travel overseas, so everyone camped.
Yeah.
So that in itself was a good thing, but also a massive challenge for us, wasn't it? Because we rode this wave that after COVID then changed. So that was a big challenge too.
Well, we got a lot of stock in early then.
Yeah.
And then business dropped. So we're carrying a lot more stock than what we really could afford. And that put the business under extreme pressure when turnover or cash flow went down.
Yeah.
We couldn't, and we had all this stock.
Yeah.
It wasn't earning anything for us. So, but, like it was just things just worked themselves out actually.
We rode the wave, and I think it's a testament once again to the team who stick by and say, well, what are we going to do to get through this? And we just made it happen. So that leads us on to expansion, because during COVID there was an expansion and then a retraction as we rode that wave to meet the demand. We've had a few warehouses over the years, haven't we, to try and cater for our needs there?
Well, following our stint here within Keswick, where we got to a point where we couldn't. We were renting warehouses close by, but eventually we found a warehouse about 5 k's from here, and we converted that into a warehouse and fulfillment centre. But then in the peak of COVID, we just couldn't cope. We got a huge warehouse another kilometre away from there, and we upped our numbers of people working. At one stage there were 110 team members working in the business, and we had this huge warehouse and dispatch area. But as things started to settle down, that was probably a little bit it was a cost that we didn't need to bear. So right now we're in a little warehouse about 2,500 metres, about 6 kilometres away, which is very much like a Snowy's warehouse. And what I mean by that is that our Keswick store is not as slick and shiny as a lot of stores are, which is what I like. I like it's a bit like a camping store from many years ago.
Yep.
And that's what I like. And I think that's what our customers like too.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to find when you start walking through, and nothing's neatly laid out.
Yeah.
So our warehouse is a bit like that too.
I think it's quite organised actually. I remember from the days when we were here at Keswick looking at our warehouse now, it looks like, there's been a lot of work from our team there to put in processes to make it more organised, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, we've got Corey Phillips is our continuous improvement manager.
Another long-term
he's
staff
a long-term
member.
staff member. He's been through a lot of different roles here, but he's responsible for a lot of that smooth running that you're talking about, Ben.
Yep. I think the store, you're right, it's when you come into a Snowy store, it's a bit of a discovery event where you can just immerse yourself and wander and find all sorts of things and all sorts of corners. It's there's stuff all over the place.
Well, you said earlier I was in an outdoor power equipment business. Well, that was a bit of a grudge purchase. People would come in and think, I've got to part with $400 or $500 for a lawnmower.
Okay.
But people come in and got $400 or $500 to spend on a tent, and they can't spend it quick enough.
So I got a lawnmower I need to replace, and I don't want to spend $300 to $400 just to mow the lawns. I think I spent $50 on my current lawnmower about 10 years ago.
Oh, right, okay. Well, you should get a new
still
one.
Going. Further into expansion, our second store, we got 2 stores. I think everyone knows that, one here and one in Brendale in Queensland, but that was another big, exciting expansion for us. But you did also touch on, I think you had a store in a long time ago.
In Albury-Wodonga,
didn't you?
Yeah. My brother-in-law and sister were keen to set up a Snowy somewhere.
Yep.
And they went to live in Albury-Wodonga and set up a store. I think today it would be really good there, but the cost of setting up a store in those days was much higher for us because we also carried clothing and footwear.
Oh, okay.
Which we don't anymore. And that's been a good thing for us because both of those products or categories you have to order a long way ahead, and it's pretty hard to predict what you're going to be able to sell in 12 months' time. And we found that a lot of our customers were just camping people and four-wheel drive people, not necessarily looking for clothing. So they were a separate customer that we were happy to let go and hopefully retain them as campers and four-wheel drivers and hikers. So, but in the Albury-Wodonga days, I think that's what it was, and I think it was quite competitive in that town, and we didn't run it in the way that we would today.
Okay. Our second store now, though, was in Brendale. And that was certainly a really exciting.
We have a fantastic team up there.
Yeah.
Dave Blunt, Jacob and Bob and Liz, they're all fantastic people.
Yeah.
But we opened that store as a means to ship all of our product to our Queensland customers online. It's quite time. It takes a lot of time to ship from Adelaide, not to mention the cost. So, and that feeds into what we want to do long term about how we set up more stores.
Okay.
That model.
Yep. Yeah, we get lots of questions about when are you going to open up a store here or there?
Particularly Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah. The response at the moment is always we're talking about it all the time. So,
we have a lot of people, who, particularly during Gather Round, which is a AFL thing equivalent to the Golden Round, I think, is it up in Brisbane? Whatever it is called. A lot of Victorians and New South Welshmen came to Adelaide, and they took the opportunity to visit us here just to see us live, and they all said, when are you going to open up over there? So.
Okay, well, you never know what the future's going to hold, so just keep in touch. Did you find it hard finding team members in Brendale? Because here, a lot of the hiring I noticed is like word of mouth. Someone knows someone and they would end up being part of the team here. A bit harder up there because we're
not known.
We're not known, and we're going for totally new people. So, I mean, David Blunt, our store manager up there, and Jacob, the people you mentioned before, are obviously golden finds. They've been there since the start, and it is a really good store up there. How did you go about finding those
I think it's just one of those luck moments, Ben. You don't. It's not always lucky, but I think we were lucky with Dave and Jacob and Bob and their team. Jacob worked at another camping shop that was closing down.
Okay.
Dave worked at a camping shop that he was unhappy at. So when the word got around, a lot of suppliers told staff at our competitors that we were coming to Brisbane and that we'd be looking for staff. So that's how we found them.
Right. Okay.
We were very fortunate. We were very lucky.
Well, it is a great team up there. I've not been to that store yet.
Okay.
I managed to get there, but we're in touch with them all the time, great place. Leads us on to the current business. You've made a note here to say we're a leaner organisation. What are you comparing that to? Our COVID times when we were just trying to keep up, really.
I think during COVID times we needed a lot of people doing the sales we were doing. But I don't necessarily think we had a team that was as committed and passionate and capable. And not to put anyone down, but I think our team now is leaner in the sense that they can do more with less. And that's what I love about it too. I think the team we've got, we all fit into a small room. We're all working in close quarters with one another, which is good and bad, but mostly good because you can yell across the room and get an answer to a question. So I think we're leaner in that sense. That's what I mean. We are just really productive. We're efficient, and it's down to the people who've worked here a long time.
I think, well, I guess I can speak for myself. And I'll probably speak for most other people, but most of us can jump in to a lot of different roles in the business too, and that's something you and most of us have built up, that we're multi-skilled. So if it's busy on the shop floor, we can jump down and help customers and support each other. So I think you're right. At the moment, it's a multi-skilled team. We can all jump into any role. So
but it's efficient too. Everyone works really efficiently.
Some recent decisions. And this is one that comes up a bit at the moment. Last year, we were clearing out all of our footwear. Footwear was a big part of. So this store in Keswick, I should take a step back. This store in Keswick was comprised of a camping section and a hiking/travel section. In recent years, we've kind of lent more towards that camping side of it. Footwear's gone now, and we apologise in advance for anyone who comes in. Some people still come here they would just come to Snowy's to buy their shoes. Usually men that don't want to shop around too much, which I totally understand. 1 or 2 years later, I need a new pair of shoes. I'll just go to Snowy's and pick up a new pair. They know what they want. They get the same size and they walk out. And I had one just the other day. A man come in and he goes, "Oh, where's your shoes?" But we try to communicate that. But we've moved out of shoes, haven't we? Within Keswick and online.
We moved out of clothing a few years before that.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, it's a unique business to run, clothing and footwear, where you've got to forecast so far ahead. But also, a lot of our suppliers were also advertising against us, selling against us. Like Salomon, for example, a fantastic shoe that we sold a lot of. We were finding it difficult to sell at a particular price because Salomon themselves were selling a lot cheaper than us. And that applied across the board. We found it difficult to compete with them. It also meant that we had a lot of money tied up in stock. Planning that far ahead, you've got to have 12 months stock in at any time and gradually pull on that down. We found that it was better to think about investing it in product that we could sell more quickly and drop the price on and be much more competitive.
Yep.
So rooftop tents, we've now converted that area where we're selling shoes into a fantastic rooftop tent showroom.
It is awesome.
There's about 10 rooftop tents on display?
I'll be more than and a bunch of awnings. And previous store manager Stefan and Hardy, who's our current store manager, have done really well in presenting that room.
Yeah, it's a fantastic space. And people, we've got, because of that, we've got a lot of rooftop tents that go out of here.
Yep.
We send a lot out online too, but a lot of them are sold here. Just last night I saw someone two people loading two rooftop tents up.
Usually in the side street with our
in the side street,
dumping a box on their roof. The footwear is an interesting one, and customers probably don't see it. But one footwear one shoe, on the wall actually equates to about 20 boxes out the back for each of those shoes because you've got a couple of each size, and do that across 50 or 100 shoe models,
men's and women's hiking.
Clearance. I remember when we were in our bigger warehouse, the space taken up just for shoes, and it's still, we had a good range, but it wasn't a massive range, and there's still a lot of space out there for shoes. So
well, there's a lot of money invested in it that we could easily have used, easily use elsewhere, which we have done.
So we love selling shoes, but
I apologise to those people who are watching who have been inconvenienced by that. I used to get my shoes from there too, so I can't anymore.
This is the first time since we've gotten rid of clothing and shoes, the first time in decades that I've had to go and shop at an actual clothing shop.
Yeah, right, okay.
Because I just got my clothes from work, so I'm not complaining. It's all right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I used to wear all Snowy's clothing and footwear.
Yeah, not anymore. I mean, first world problem, but you've made a note here, doubling down on our principles. Does that lead back to what you were saying before?
Yeah, look, I think we need to talk about it more.
Yep.
I think all the things that we make, that we need to do to make customer experience better, both in store and online, we need to talk about that a lot more. I think we've, in the last 12 months or 18 months, we've been reorganising the business a little bit. I've stepped back from a day-to-day management role. And Lane, my son, has taken over. I think now that we're on top of that, I think we can start to bring back those values that we want to talk about more. And it really starts with the customer. How do we make the customer experience the best we can? And that's what we that's what we need to talk about, and that's what we need to drive forward.
Yep.
It's things like all of our staff need to know everything about the products we sell. We need to know what suits. We need to know features and benefits of products so that we can match them with what a customer wants. We want a customer to be served quickly when they come in.
Yep.
All of those things we want to work hard at improving on.
Yep. You can find our values on our website, by the way. So have a look and challenge us. Hold us to them. If you think we're not holding up, then let us know, because we're only human.
Yeah, good.
We can make mistakes.
I mean, the other thing I want to say is that you've been working on a loyalty program, which we're about to launch.
Yep.
When's that coming out?
We're hoping within the next month. There's a lot of moving parts.
Should I have mentioned that?
I don't know.
All right,
we'll ask Lane afterwards. Our new managing director. Yeah. No, but look, we're working on it. There'll be something. I'm hoping it's in the form that I'm working on at the moment.
Okay.
To really value, because we've got some customers who've been with us for many, many, many years, and at the moment they sit on a list of like, there's that customer who's been with us for many years, but we've not really done much to value them, and we want to create a program that really rewards those people who keep coming back to us, and we can just be better at going out to people, not just be a retailer who just says, here's our specials, buy them, but be more realistic and meaningful with what we are. So that's the approach there.
You've got a few feathers to your cap, the marketing online, then you've got the podcast, you've been running and organising that, and then to come up with the loyalty, our loyalty plan. I think, good on you, mate. I reckon you've done a great job with that. What I've seen of it looks really good.
Oh, thanks, Rich. We're interviewing you, but I'll take the credit. The podcast, I didn't mention before, Lauren's not here because she is sick this week, and this is the first time I've done an episode without Lauren. I came a little bit nervous, thinking I hope I can hold up.
You've done very well.
Hold up the interest, because usually Lauren and I stop.
Well, maybe I'll push Lauren out of a job.
Challenge her, right? Good one. Or maybe you should do a podcast with Lauren first.
Right. Well, I'm a bit frightened.
Talk about the future. You mentioned Lane, your son stepping in at MD. I just want to mention we are a family business. So, and by that we mean you have been I guess did you call yourself managing director? I think. So you were our managing director up until a few years ago.
Yeah, for 18 months ago.
18 months, yep. You're still active in the business now. You've just taken a step back. Lane has stepped up. He was my manager, and he stepped into the managing director role. So your son and I've stepped into his role. Erin, your daughter, works not within business but within Blacksmith Camping, who is I don't quite know how that's set up, but it's a sidearm.
That's owned by Erin and Lane. Lane also is an owner, and they make canvas bags, quality canvas bags for camping and outdoor industry.
Yeah, that started here. We actually did an interview with Lane and Erin. I didn't do my homework. I meant to get the episode number before I started, but we have done an interview with them, and they started in what is now shop floor space. Erin was in a little room making canvas camp oven bags and things. On top of that, Leah, another one of your daughters, was involved with our business up until just a few years ago, behind the scenes for human resources. So it is truly a family run, and still is a family run business. But recently you've taken a step back. You've got grandkids now, a bit more time to spend on
I want to spend time with my grandkids. But the reason for that, I remember standing up in front of all the people in the office one day, and I was under a lot of pressure. Trying to run a business that size, and I wasn't good at delegating. And I stood up there to talk to everyone, and I was lost for words. I couldn't say anything. And after that, I thought, something's got to change here, because I think I had a bit of a nervous thing.
Okay.
And I had to step back, and I took a break for a while. And that was when Lane stepped in, and he's proven to be much, much better at running the business than me.
Don't be hard on yourself.
But when you're talking about a family-run business, it's really only that he's got skin in the game, and I had skin in the game. Now, everyone who works here has got skin in the game, but it's nothing like fretting over making payroll this week. There's nothing that more mind awakening than to know that you've got a lot of people here who depend on you to pay them.
Yeah.
So that's another level that you've got to adjust to.
Yeah. I must admit,
I'm not complaining about it, Ben. It's just that's just comes with owning a business.
Absolutely, yeah. I must admit, looking at that time through COVID, with the ups and downs, and trying to growing a business with a future that was kind of unknown, because there's this whole COVID thing going on. We were just kind of going into this dark future. There was not really there was no outlook. You couldn't predict anything. And even now we're still still things have changed.
Yeah.
So they still have days where you scratch your head and you go, I don't really understand what's going on there. It's just different suddenly. So I wouldn't want to be in your
work
position.
from home. I mean, work from home is good in some sense, and that's okay. And thank heavens for team meetings. We have a lot of team meetings here, but there's nothing like us all being in the office together.
Yeah,
and just talking.
It is good. Yeah. Do you reckon Lane's got it under control?
I think he has. Yeah. Like I said, Ben, he's much more analytical. He's much more reasoned in his decisions. Things that I asked him, could I talk about in this podcast? He said no. So that's fine. I would have dithered and dallied about that.
Okay.
But these things will come out eventually, but we didn't want to preempt them by talking about them.
Okay. Well, that came into the next section with our dreams, your dreams for Snowies, because I posed the question to you. I said if there was no financial or any barriers to what the future could look like for Snowies, what would your passion drive it to look like?
Oh, look, I'd like to see more stores. There's only so much money in the kitty for us to do that, so we've got to look at creative ways, and I think we've come up with one, but that's for the next conversation.
Yeah.
But we want a store in Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth.
Well, I've got. I think I filled all the gaps between that I didn't know about your past and everything up until now. Still can't believe that it's been 170 episodes before we've got you on.
But that's all right. I hope it's another 170 before you get me back.
Well, hopefully we're still here another 170 episodes.
I'm sure you will be, Ben.
We didn't think we'd get to 170. I thought at some stage, a long time ago, we're going to run out of stuff to talk about, surely, eventually. But anything else you want to add?
No, other than that one day I hope I'll have enough time to go camping.
Because you never got away camping much, which is why I thought it's interesting starting from your history and work, where you did work, you spent a lot of time in the outback, but your time here is more as a business person, right? And hiring all the people, getting all the people, the team that do the camping, and the right people within the business to. Yeah, I think
there are some fantastic people who work here, know a lot more than me about camping and outdoors. I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
And besides, I've got grandkids now, and in a few years' time, we'll be able to go away camping.
Yeah. Time to spend with them now. Yeah. You look more relaxed than you did a few years ago.
Thanks, Ben. I am. Yeah.
Well, that was great. So that was, you didn't think people would be interested in more than half an hour. We've talked for an hour.
Interested. I'd like to see the viewing numbers. I think might get above 10, maybe. That's other people in my family.
We'll get the community to share it. Make sure we got to get to 1,000 views in a few days for Rich, just to prove him wrong. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Rich. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. First time I've done it without Lauren, but it's been great to know a bit more about
work,
history.
Ben. Yeah, great work.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. That was another episode of the Snowies Camping Show. We'll see you next time for our next episode.